Alright guys, welcome to another beer review. Take 3, and no, it wasn't my fault this time. Happy days. The joys of having to move back in with your family, if I'm not being shouted at upstairs, like from downstairs, every 2 fucking minutes, I'm having people just come through my bedroom door, every 2 fucking minutes. Or I'm having people just bang into the door every 2 fucking minutes. So this is now take 3 of a beer review. And I expect this problem to happen quite a lot. Of course, I'm never interrupted when I'm not doing beer reviews. And yeah, so there's going to be quite a few outtake videos, I'd imagine. But anyway, not to worry. Today we're going back over to the Wychwood Brewery, who of course part of Marston's, and I know, big beer is bad news and we should be dead against it. We should get our pitchforks out and, burn the big brewery's headquarters down and that sort of thing. But I've got to say, Marston's for me, I cut my teeth on Marston's beers, on Green King related beers, on like Robinson's related beers, these bigger brewery sort of companies who buy the smaller breweries. And I've got to say, out of a lot of the bigger guys throughout the world, to me, I think Marston's do a good job with their own beers, as well as the ones from the breweries that they own. And Wychwood are one of those breweries. I've got a hell of a lot of time for Wychwood. I know people will always tell me that Hobgoblin tastes nowhere near the way as good as it did, like back in, was it the late 80s or early 90s, that sort of thing. Excuse me, you can tell I've already drank some of it, like pre-Marston's takeover. I know that that's a thing that can happen with breweries, that recipes change, corners may be cut, or recipes can just be changed by the breweries themselves because they want to revitalise the recipe. I mean, look how many times Coca-Cola has been revised and that sort of thing. It's just, it happens with even the biggest producers. They like to change things up a bit. So I can't really attest to Wychwood Hobgoblin tasting a bit weaker now than it used to, like 10 years ago or whatever. I only know Wychwood Hobgoblin as it is now, and I think it's a very solid beer. It's one that I will happily go to time and time again, and a lot of their range I've really good experiences. The only ones that I've not really been a big fan of are the Arrow Rain, which I will be doing a review of that one, and the Firecatcher, which was yes, fairly inoffensive beer. But I've never had really a beer where I'm like drain pour or anything like that from Wychwood, and I've got a place in my heart for the brewery. And when I heard that there was a sort of newer beer released by them, which you can pick up from Aldi, I'm sure it might be available in other supermarkets. Excited for the Pumpkin as well this year, because I'm recording this on this September the whatever, I can't remember what day it is. And yeah, so before I came back to the UK, I heard a lot of people talking about this in like some of the Real Ale groups that I'm a part of on Facebook, and some of the actual like dedicated Wychwood fan groups that are on Facebook as well as Twitter. So there's a lot of fanfare for the brewery, and I can see why. And a lot of people were talking about this one. Seeing photos of people literally buying like the cases that they're stood on in the supermarkets and that sort of thing. So I was out shopping today and I saw it and I was like, yeah, I'm going to get myself a bottle. So that beer is, of course, Ripsaw, which is an American-style red ale with a maple syrup twist, clocking in at 4.2%. Fantastic artwork, as always, from Wychwood. They make for very handsome pump handles, I find, when I'm in the Lake District or in a Marston's pub in general. And yeah, just a really nicely presented bottle of beer. And I love the fact that it's got engravings on the glass as well. So if you are a home brewer, that's a really nice, neat bottle. But I'm not a home brewer. Well, not yet. The good thing about moving back to the UK is I'm not in a one-room apartment anymore. I'm in a full house. So I could potentially homebrew once I've landed on my feet, shall I say. But yeah, so presentation, fantastic, as to be expected from the brewery. And here's what the beer looks like in the glass. It's got sort of like a slight rubiness to it, but it's almost like a rusted sort of rubiness. And the good thing about being here is I've got a good light source coming in, so I can actually see the beer properly for a change. Lovely clarity to it. It's got like a nuttiness to it as well in the appearance, maybe a slight hint of a cranberry note as well. Yeah, lovely clarity, nice slow carbonation. When I initially poured it, it had about 2 fingers worth of slightly off-white head. Head subsided nicely, but there is nice lacing on the edge of the glass. So yeah, it looks like a really nice beer so far. Let's see what we get on the aroma. And you get that maple syrup, but you also get like a slight like cranberry cherry sort of vibe as well. It's very berry-like in its sweetness, I'd say. Slight tartness there, slight nuttiness as well. Almost like you've caramelised nuts in maple syrup. Or even something like pancakes with maple syrup. That's the sort of aroma I'm getting. It's not too in your face, it's not too sickly sweet. Very slight resiny hop character as well in there, which sort of works actually. But yeah, a really nice, slightly sweet, if not a little bit earthy smelling red ale so far. So yeah, let's see what it tastes like. Cheers. You don't get as much of the maple syrup on the flavour as you do in the aroma. It's got a slight mineral-esque character to it. And it almost has that slight when you've had a little bit of cinnamon or ginger. And it like not tingles the tongue, but it leaves like a... You get a sensation on your tongue. Not clawing, but it's definitely there. That sort of vibe. Slight vanilla-like flavours in there. It's got that like musky, almost Helles lager character, which I'm attributing to the malt build of the beer. But yeah, you do get the maple syrup, but it's not in your face. And I think if it were, mixing with that sort of like nice resiny hoppy bitterness that you get on the back end, I think that beer would just be way too sickly sweet to session on. But this, as it is, for like just over £1 a bottle, I believe this was. You know, get yourself 6 bottles of this, that's your night sorted. Lovely nuttiness, slight caramelised nuts. It's not too sweet though. There is that sort of like twigginess that you get with some real ale, which actually works well with this beer. And yeah, lovely like berry notes in there. It's just a really nice, simple beer. And I think they've got the description perfect with a maple syrup twist. It's just a little twist, a little twang, that sort of thing. But I think it works really, really well. And this is a perfect beer for autumn, I find. And you know what? I think they'll be releasing Pumpkin more towards Halloween as well, or just supermarkets putting last year's batch on the shelves for like 99p a bottle, which I'm all for because it's a good base beer, even if it loses some of the spices that it has in that beer. But this, perfect Halloween beer. Yeah, because it's got that slight dessertiness to it, and that slight pumpkin spice element, which I really, really like. But that slight maple syrup character and that resiny hop character on the back end with the lingering bitterness, it's really an intriguing beer. And very inoffensive, so I cannot see why people would complain about this beer at all. There's nothing too, you know, negative to say about it. But is it the best beer I've ever drank? No, but for this season, I think it's perfect for the season, if that makes sense. So in terms of a rating then, on Wychwood's Ripsaw, I'm going to give it a very solid 8 out of 10. So if you've tried it, let me know your thoughts, opinions. Highly recommended from me. What's your favourite Wychwood beer? What's your favourite Marston's beer? Just bombard me in the comments. And of course, check out my Wychwood playlist down below, and check out my Real Ale playlist for more reviews. And I hope you'll join me next time for another beer review. So, yeah, I wasn't interrupted. No, no, no.